Hey guys, today we are going to be leaving our safe place known as Lightroom and venturing into the depths of Photoshop, well, the surface level of Photoshop, to do some airbrushing and retouching, because I'm sure if you went out there, looked up retouching, airbrushing, you found frequency separation and your brain went. So I'm going to show you a little bit easier way to get very, very similar results, and in some instances, it's a better way to do it to help correct like highlights, hotspots on the skin, like that sort of thing. So let's dive in. We're going to go to Lightroom first. Okay, so I know I said we're talking about Photoshop, but we're going to start in Lightroom because we want all our photos to stay together when we export them. So to do that, you need to make your edits in Photoshop from Lightroom. So before you do that, though, you need to make sure that your photo is how you want it, because there's no take-backsies once you do all this work in Photoshop, all right? It becomes a TIFF, which means it's no longer raw, which means it no longer has the adjustment capabilities of a raw photo. So you just want to make sure you've checked your photos like I do a self-CC, scroll through, make sure everything is looking good, how I want it, and then I go back in and I do any of my final retouching. Just as like best practice, self-check, that type of thing. So this is the phase we're at. So I've already sank everything, we're happy, everything is consistent, but now we got to go in and fine tune it. So let's do that. I'm going to hit Command E because I'm on a Mac, but Control E if you're on a PC. And what that's going to do is that's going to kick it back into Photoshop. Now, once you're done to get it back into Lightroom, all you have to do is save it. So hit Command or Control S and it'll bring it back into Lightroom, and then you can export it all together with the rest of your photos. All right, now that we've covered that, let's edit. All right, now that we're in Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer. Now, this time, is it absolutely necessary? Probably not, but I always just treat it as like a habit of best practice, because sometimes I do need to pull from things like from the original. And if I work on the original layer, that means I've changed the original layer and I no longer have an original. So I either have to start over, re-import it, or hit Command Z 1 bajillion times. And I'd rather not do that. So that's why I always create a duplicate layer. All right, so we've created the duplicate layer. We're going to zoom up on her face. So Z, and then just get on in there and just check for any imperfections that are going to cause us problems. So her skin's looking fabulous, but if she had a zit, something like that, we would stamp that out. The only thing I'm going to deal with right now is this pesky little hair. I think that's going to cause us a little bit of problems. So you can either stamp it out or use heal. I'm going to use my heal. Your quick key for that is J. When you go to that, you want to be on the healing brush tool option, because that gives you the option to select what you want to pull from, which gives you a lot more control in your final results. So I'm going to hold option, select the skin I want to pull from, and I color. So you can see I'm changing my point of selection as I'm going through to make sure that I'm getting the best result possible from my healing tool. And voila, that's a hair gone. So same practice, like let's say we want to get rid of this little bump right here. Alt or option to select it, and boom, gone. Easy peasy. Okay, now this time you do have to create a duplicate layer for this to work. So Command J or Control J is your quick key for that. Now we're going to do airbrushing with a mixer brush. So under your brush, make sure you have mixer brush tool selected. So B is your quick key to open up your brushes once you've got that all set up. And then it's up to you what you want to work from, right? I start off with like the moist heavy mix and I just tweak it from there. You need to think of it as like an actual paintbrush. So how wet is your brush? How much paint do you have on your brush? How much are you mixing the colors of the image with the paint that is on your brush? And then flow is just essentially like how much of it are you throwing at it is how I think about it. I know, weird. But that's what helps me visualize. So I know I want to have a good amount of paint on my brush, and I want to be mixing that quite a bit, but I still want to hold true to the colors. So I don't want to go too crazy. So somewhere around there. And then sometimes when the brush is too dry, it like really drags. So I like to keep it decently moist. All right, so then I'm gonna get back in here. I'm gonna use option to select a color of her skin. Now you do have the option to choose a color, but for now, with what we're doing, we're just gonna pull from her actual skin. And then you just paint, yeah, just like that. Okay, so if she has a hot spot like this, you see right here where it's a little bit brighter, we can actually use this technique to blend it in. We just need to pull color from this side. You see that? Instead of working it out, right, we're going to work it in. And then, so grab from the darker color and start to blend it. And then you just have fun with it. Move your brush in different directions. You don't want to get into the hairline. Be careful as you're going around eyebrows. Makeup can be a little bit tricky, but you're just going to use this to blend in the colors. So I'm going to grab, this area is going to be a little bit tricky because we're transitioning from different colors. So I want to kind of work and mix that in. So, okay, we're going to come across here. I think that's blended fairly well. I use my brackets as, to scale my brush size. Sorry, brain farted there a little bit. To scale my brushes so I don't have to click, the faster you can learn your quick keys, the faster you can become at editing, because you don't want your hands to have to leave their position, right? Because every time they do, you're resetting, and like these microseconds, they add up when you're doing like weddings or bigger projects. So learn your quick keys. I try to say them out loud as I'm teaching these things just to help get them kind of drilled into your head, so that way you know where everything's at. But as I'm painting this, I'm gonna bring this down here. See how she's a little bit bright? Right, we're gonna continue to blend, tra-la-la, working it in. I'm gonna go through her whole face for you guys, but I'm not gonna do her chest in this video just because I'm afraid it's gonna take like too long. You're just gonna be sitting here watching me brush her chest, which might get a little awkward. But if you're doing somebody's face like this in this scenario and you have a photo that looks like this, you're gonna want to at least lightly go over their chest and their arms or like other skin areas so it doesn't look super fake or false. But for me, for this video, we're only gonna be doing the face. Okay, so pay attention to the areas of highlight, the areas of shadows as you're working through this area, and make sure you're grabbing fresh colors of paint frequently. So we're gonna blend this in. And for the eyes, like we don't wanna pull from here, right? Because we're gonna drag her mascara. It's like her makeup's running. So we're gonna instead push the lighter color in, which will also help reduce dark circles if people have dark circles or something like that. Like I said, Lexi's looking fabulous, all right? Just turned 30, looking hot. Sorry, she's my, we can talk about Lexi this way. We're close. But we're gonna go through here like so. Be careful about makeup. I'm not actually gonna get into this part. I'm just gonna lightly like click once, dust it. If that makes it just like a little boop, boop, boop. So that way it doesn't like totally stand out, but getting in between those lashes can get really tricky and you just need to like lightly get in there. You don't need to go crazy on these areas. Okay, so we're gonna go here, out of here. Yeah, because I don't want to lose that sparkle or anything like that. I just want to blend it softly so that area doesn't stand out. Okay, and then we're going to take here. And if we want to keep a little bit of light on the tip of her nose, we can blend it like so. So that's a cool thing too. Like if somebody didn't wear makeup or if you want to emphasize areas, you can actually like paint the color you want or grab from somewhere on her and begin to blend it in. So you can change makeup with this technique. You can also use it, and I will show you how to do that as we advance into fixing double chins and lipifying. I will 100% show you guys how to paint a chin on someone because it's a technique I use for like those really gnarly double chins that are like, they're in there. They exist. And it works fantastically. But you can see like you can blend, smooth, kind of reshape. I don't like to like totally change people's faces, but like kind of touch up, tone, that sort of thing. Like I still want you to look like you, but I want you to look like the best you. All right, go in here. And as you can see, like you don't have to be super duper close. This is not about getting it perfect because you'll see here in a second what I'm going to do with it. All right, so we got a weird spot here. I want to get rid of those pores. I'm watching out for this line here. You want to make sure that you're keeping your shadows and highlights on the image where you want it to fall. Because remember, it's like highlights and shadows, like the lighter and darker areas of your image is what makes you see like shapes. So like you can make somebody's cheeks look puffier than they are by adding highlights in the wrong area. But that also means you can hide double chins by adding shadows in the right area. So there's a little teaser for you on how to like get rid of some double chins or help that out. Okay, we are so close. We are so close. I'm trying my best just to keep these to like 5 minutes. And I know I tend to like to ramble and talk a lot. So I'm trying to keep your exposure to me to a minimum. All right. I am actually pretty happy with that. Ha 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 ha. Oh, wait. I lied. Brush. Alt. Grab. See right there? It's a little bit close. So you can even do lips with this. I'm not for this particular video. You can. Go for it. Go ham. Airbrush everything. Airbrush a butt. I don't care. All right, let me go here. Clean up this. Looking good, looking good, looking good. She has a little bit of a mark there that I want to reduce right here. Okay. Zoom. All right, so zoom on out. Okay, so now you can see like we're looking pretty fake, right? So here's how you make it not fake. This is a matter of opacity and fill. So opacity, think opaque, like a glass you're looking through. Fill, think sieve, like something is seeping through and filling in those spaces. I know, again, weird, but this is how I visualize these things to know like what I need to add, like what I need to like adjust or which of them. So you're going to go down here or start by lowering the opacity so you can see if we go all the way through, right? And then I just bring it in lightly until it's to a point I'm happy with. I like to use fill a lot for this because it like fills in it does that. It fills in the pores, right? So then you just find that balance between what looks natural, right? And like we want that not quite perfectly touched up photo. Because you don't want it to look fake. You still want it to look like you. You don't want it or look like them. You don't want to go crazy on it. And you can see here, we still see pores. We still see a little bit of lines. We still see that. That is great. Or if you want it to be more touched up, you just keep lifting these things here until you achieve that balance that you're happy with. But that's the beauty of it. Like, you have full control and easily, like, no creating processes, just opacity and fill to get it where you want. And then if you ever hit a problem of like, you need to add in some more noise, that can be done right through here in adding noise. I'm not gonna get into that. This one doesn't need it. But if you ever notice that like something doesn't look great because it's too smooth, you can always add grain back into your images. Okay, so I know that's probably longer. I haven't checked how long I've been doing this for, but I truly hope that helps. And I'm looking forward to showing you some more tricks in Photoshop.